Hey, how's it going, guys? I've got the 7 Voyager tablet running Android Marshmallow, and this is the successor of the Voyager II, or at least it was supposed to be. Okay, so it's near the end of 2016 right now. We have the same resolution, 1024 by 600, and the same problem with the viewing angles. When you tilt it one way, just slightly, it gets really bright. Tilt it the other way, and it gets really dark, which kinda looks like the screen pixels are burned out. This was a big issue in previous years because the screen feels unpleasant to look at. This in and of itself is a deal breaker because minus everything else, the price, the performance, resolution, the screen is the way of interacting and doing everything on the tablet. So if it feels uncomfortable to look at, or you've had a tablet like this in the past, this should tell you that it's not worth getting. Well, that little rant aside, if you can look past that, then you may want to stick around. I'm only able to tolerate this by having the brighter side on top in landscape mode, but I really feel like this should have been fixed by now. This is running Android 6.0.1 Marshmallow with a near-stock Android experience that I like. The most notable feature is the ability to transfer apps to a microSD card. This is something we've all been waiting for. That's not to say 16 gigs of storage isn't enough for some people, but it's definitely a feature that was always welcome. The tablet has a similar design, being made of cheap plastic and a few grams lighter. There's a 1 or 2 megapixel camera on the front with a microphone on the side, and the quality is horrible, as expected. It feels more of a gimmick to even have one, but I guess it's better than nothing. On the side is where all the ports and buttons are located, with the power button, 3.5mm headphone jack, micro USB and DC port that can both be used to charge the tablet, the volume controls, and behind it the micro SD card slot with the reset button. The speaker is located on the other end and the quality is awful. It doesn't get really loud. The spec sheet shows perhaps a more interesting difference, being packed with a 1.2 GHz quad-core Intel Atom processor with 1 GB of RAM and a Mali 450 MP4 GPU. In testing with some benchmarks, it got a poor score with the Antutu and Geekbench. The Antutu score is actually lower than last year's Voyager II. How disappointing. On the bright side, there wasn't much of a problem when doing simple tasks such as browsing the web. Just a slight lag. Now, I've played a couple of games on here. In the beginning, I saw a lot of slowdown and stuttering, but it's only temporary, possibly because it's loading all the files. The 2D games played well, as to be expected, but I noticed occasional stuttering in 3D games. A high-end game like Injustice was frequently slow and looked downscaled in graphics, but surprisingly didn't crash. Minecraft lagged to a point where I wasn't able to enjoy playing this, and the same goes with Injustice. It looks to me that maybe this Intel chipset isn't well suited to handle 3D games. It's almost unplayable. My other concern was the tablet quickly got warm after playing just for a few minutes. I contacted the company and they told me it's nothing to be concerned about. The one thing I didn't get to test out too thoroughly was the battery life, but based on my use, I was usually only able to get about 2 hours of on-screen time, which isn't sufficient enough to last the whole day. You can get a longer battery life by lowering the brightness and turning on battery saver. Overall, it's not a great tablet. In many aspects, it's similar to its predecessor, the Voyager II, but it's still pretty cheap, especially during Black Friday. This may just be a decent tablet to pick up and give as a gift to a kid, assuming there's no safety issue, but I really can't recommend it for anything besides that. The main reason is the screen, because it would feel unsettling to watch a movie or some videos. At this time, the only other tablet being around the price range I've heard of good things about is the Amazon Fire 7. I haven't reviewed it, but it looks a little promising with an IPS display. If you want to stick with Android, then check out the iView tablet, which is also around the price. I'll have links down below on where to get it. I'm also going to be trying to look for some better tablets in the future, so feel free to subscribe.